today's video is going to be really interesting because maybe about a week or two ago, we decided to adopt a polyglot.
So if you don't know, in our family, as we travel, we like to, adopt family members and travel with people. So this girl, her name is Cameron, and she's actually speaks 27 languages. She's a polyglot.
And we thought, well, what a better way to travel than bring your own interpreter everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And it was actually her idea. She said, hey, can I travel with you? And we're like,
And she's 14,
Sure.
so she's between our ages, so it'll be fun to have another sister friend.
So you guys ready to meet our new adopted sister little child, polyglot? And if you've wondered, what is a polyglot? Well, just wait and we'll show you and explain to you what it all means.
We are growing up without borders, a family of 5 traveling to every country in the world. It all began with a 5-week trip to Europe back in 2013, which then led to us traveling to now 6 continents and 98 countries.
Take a road and a road to the open air. Anytime and a place, and I'll meet you there.
We've been blessed to spend many months here in New Zealand and explored everything from the very top to the very bottom. Are you ready to join the journey? Let's go.
This day is ours, and you and I will bring the sunshine. Oh yeah. Everywhere we go.
Oscar's actually FaceTime ready today, so we got a little sneak peek.
You guys got a sneak peek? I didn't get a sneak peek. I got a whole bunch of questions though ready for her. So, and if you have more questions about anything after our video, comment below, and then we'll maybe do a part 2 or something like that where we connect with her.
Hey.
Hey, look at your background.
Oh, I have a background on. That's not actually real life.
Awesome. So we're really excited to connect with you because we watched a whole video about you speaking all the different languages. So I'm hoping you can give us a little bit of a sneak peek, and you can maybe speak some of the languages so we can hear how cool you sound on video.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm really excited too.
You know what I'm so excited about? Is you speak almost every language. It sounds very native when you're speaking, but I think that we've got one on you, which is French.
Yes, I do agree with that. Yes,
this is good because you can speak French or all the other languages and teach us a little, and we'll help you learn French.
Definitely.
Cool.
I think that I'm also really excited because I've talked to Angelique for a while, maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And she's nice, and I really admire you guys. I watched your videos even before I met Angelique, but yeah.
That's awesome. So let's dig right into it. So let's have fun with some of the languages that you speak, and then you can demonstrate and just show off a little bit how cool it is to be able to speak. And then I want to dive into how you do it and your story, because this is crazy.
I got it.
Okay, cool. So let's try German, because I know you speak German. Wo wohnst du?
Ja, kann. Servus, wie geht's dir? Ich habe österreichische Freunde aus Österreich, ja. Und ich lerne österreichische Deutsch, weil ich habe die österreichische Freunde. Und wenn ich habe 9 Jahren, ich lerne österreichische Deutsch, weil ich liebe Österreich, ja.
Sehr gut. Ich heiße Chantal, that's all I know how to say. Und ich habe 44 Jahre alt. Ich bin. Ich habe, no?
No, it's I am, and then
ich bin. That's all I know. Isn't that terrible? I grew up with a Swiss German dad, and I don't even speak German or German.
Well, Swiss German, I don't speak Swiss German. I speak German, and my Swiss German personally is really hard for me to understand.
Yeah.
It's it sounds very unique to me.
It is, and then different places speak with a different dialect. So I know you were saying you speak with from Austria, kind of that type of German accent, and so that's pretty cool. All right, let's go right into what language, girls. We could just kind of go boom, and then you're gonna say it. So let's do Japanese. Okay. Let's go.
こんにちは、お元気ですか？私の名前はみさきです。私はアメリカ人ですね。だから私は日本住んでいたいんだよね。始まりましてありがとうございましたね。
That's crazy.
Cool.
What's crazy as well is if you just listen to it, it sounds like you're really like a native from there.
I know. If you were to close your eyes,
cool.
that's amazing. Okay, how about what's the language you want to hear her speak?
Spanish.
Ooh.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Me llamo Camila y soy de los Estados Unidos, pero yo puedo hablar español porque yo tengo muchos amigos de los Estados de Venezuela y México y Cuba.
¿Sí?
Esto porque yo y mi novio fue venezolano también. Esto porque yo tengo un acento
Y tú
venezolano.
hablas más rápido que nosotros. Nosotros podemos hablar un poquito de español también porque tenemos muchos amigos de España, de Nicaragua, de México,
Sí.
de todo el país, pero no hablas muy rápido como tú.
No, tu español perfecto.
Gracias.
¿Cómo aprendiste español?
En los países, cuando nos hacemos los viajes, entonces podemos
Y con
hablar.
películas.
Las películas también, sí.
Ah, sí, perfecto.
Y nos gustan mucho el idioma español también.
Sí, los franceses son muy similares de español, sí.
Sí. Francés, portugués, español, italiano. ¿Hablas italiano?
No puedo.
Ah, bueno. Entonces, okay, later on, like, you know, once your parents are okay with us, like, adopting you, you can come to Europe with us. You can come and we'll teach you. Because when you're like let's say you're in Switzerland, right? You can get to like Italy.
Yeah.
You can be in Milan within 3 hours. France is like across the way. So like you'll pick up all those languages because you're just so, you know, able to. So this is really cool. Okay, but let's go into some that are like harder, like for example, Russian.
Привет, Катила, меня зовут Айбела Кудайберген-Нескус. Я люблю Россию и Казахстан, Украина, и у меня есть подруга в России и Казахстан. Меня подруга, я не знаю, что сказать.
But wait,
Привет.
do you speak Belarus? Is it
Yes, I
even
do.
Belarus?
Belarusian.
Belarusian? Do you speak that?
I speak basically, yes.
Wow.
Because we were stuck in Belarus. So we were there and we couldn't speak the language and we couldn't get into where we had booked for the night. And so we were like, does anybody speak English? And we were like asking people in the streets and it was really challenging because
That sounds like, to be honest, really fun. Maybe not for you guys, but that would be so fun for me because like I'd be like I like talking to random people sometimes. Like I'm very outgoing. So I just like kind of like talking to people.
oh yeah.
So
You would have been good.
But in Belarus, everybody speaks Russian pretty much.
Cool. Yeah, exactly. Like that's why I said if we can learn Russian, then we can get into like, you know, when you're in Croatia or when you're in whether Serbia or Macedonia, even like it's like the same root language. So you can get by with so many, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right. What
about Hindi?
हिंदी ओके नमस्ते आप कैसे हैं मेरा नाम कैमरन है मेरी हिंदी बहुत बोशा है मेरा इंडिया sorry I had a brain
That's okay. That sounds really good though. What about Thai?
Oh, I love this one สวัสดีค่ะฉันชื่อพลอยค่ะฉันมาจากไทยค่ะฉันชอบภาษาไทยประเทศไทยแลนด์ขอบคุณค่ะSo actually, one of my best friends lives in Thailand right now. She's my Thai teacher. She lives in Chiang Mai.
Wow.
So I have a lot of friends from different places in the world. That's why when I travel with you guys eventually, hopefully, inshallah, like then we can go to like, I probably can find you guys a lot of places to stay if I'm there because I know a lot of people.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's ask you a few questions because I wrote down a bunch of questions. So like one of the things was, and I heard you say this in one of your videos, but okay, what age were you when you started learning languages?
I started learning languages when I was about 9 years old, and I met a girl from Austria. She didn't speak any English, and she was always upset, and I really felt bad. So over the summer, I learned pretty good German, and so then I found out that she was just upset because she was like lonely and couldn't really speak English, and yeah.
Aw, so you learned a language to help somebody else?
Kinda, yeah.
That's so nice.
Thank you.
And when did you, so that was your first language you learned was German?
Yes, my first language was German, or my first a foreign language.
And was it something that like once you started, you're like, this is really cool, now I want to learn another one?
Yes, definitely. That's pretty much what happened. Like I found out that German was learning languages was kind of like really cool. So I wanted to do it more often.
It's kind of like traveling. Like the more you do it, the more you want to go and discover more places and stuff like that. So cool.
So where are your parents from?
Oh yeah.
My parents are, my dad's Native American and my mom is white, so American. So yeah, European American.
Cool. And do they speak other languages?
They don't. My mom doesn't speak any language. My dad is trying to learn Spanish, and my brother doesn't really speak, but he speaks decent Spanish, but not like decent.
And when was the first time? When was the first time where your parents realized that you had this gift? Because it is a gift. You realize that.
The first time they realized that I had this gift was when I was walking around the house speaking on the phone in German, and they were like, "Are you just making up phrases?" And I was like, "Actually not." And then I was like, "Bitte, this is meine Freundin aus Österreich," and they're like, hello. They told me that's when they first realized.
Wow, that's amazing. So like German, you learned it with a friend, but let's say some of these other languages that you're learning, whether it's Thai or Hindi or Japanese or Vietnamese, is there a strategy? Like when you let's say you're attacking a brand new language, like in your head, do you have like a system where you're like, okay, first I do this, then I do this to make it happen? Or like, what's your strategy? Like, how do you do it?
My strategy, let's see. I usually want to practice with native speakers. So I have a lot of apps where I can meet native speakers online, especially only ones that are my age, of course. But like then I practice with them online through video call and stuff like that. And that's pretty much my main tip is practice with native speakers often.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like for us, it's the same thing. Like when we travel and you're like immersed and you are talking to people, then you start to pick it up. Do you actually do you learn the alphabet for most languages as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can read all the languages I speak and write.
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. And so would it be a lot of YouTube videos as well?
YouTube videos, italki, Duolingo, stuff like that.
How many hours would you think, like, okay, if you were to guesstimate, this is like a hard question and you probably don't have an accurate answer, but if you were like, okay, so you're a genius, so it's easy, but like for people like us, that are just learning, how long would you think it would take to actually learn a language? If someone's like watching and they're like, I want to take a new language and learn Russian, how long do you think it would take them to do?
I don't know, like say something and then like people like back something.
Well, like for you, how long does it take you to learn a language?
To learn a language fluently, you mean?
Yeah, you have
maybe at the most a year.
A year.
Okay,
that's pretty cool, and that's like intently learning as well.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah. So we met a guy when we were in Colombia, and he wanted to learn a language within, I think it was like 30 days or something like that. And he had like
fluently. Sorry, I interrupted. Sorry.
That's okay. No. So he dissected it all, but he was like strategically like every day, X amount of hours, like a full-time job to learn a language, So it's doable, but yeah, I think the average person is like a lot longer.
Yeah.
Because you want to travel when you're older and, discover the world, right? So
of course.
Have you looked at different like opportunities, for example, like being an online teacher to native, maybe speak English or something like that?
Yeah, I've looked at many different opportunities. I've tried most of them. It's quite expensive, as you know, to travel. If some, depending on but it's expensive. It's not like easy or it's not cheap. You know what I mean? But so I've looked at student study abroad, which I plan on doing when I'm older, like maybe 17. And then I also I hope to travel with friends eventually and hopefully travel with you guys. That would be a dream come true. And then I've also looked at doing, when I'm like an adult, teaching or moving to Vietnam or Thailand or Kazakhstan.
Yeah, I mean, but you can teach, for example, online and be anywhere in the world. Yeah.
I did do that for a year.
Cool.
Wow.
That would be a great way for someone like you who knows so many languages. You could be an online teacher or something like that.
The thing is, I did that for about a year, but I ended up getting fired because I gave 2 people free lessons.
Oh.
Oops. I wanted to just like, I'm sorry, I can't afford your lessons. I was like, I can give them to you for free. And I got in trouble for that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but it's fine.
I saw this one school and it's like a school on a cruise ship almost. You like travel around the world. going out to different countries. That looked pretty cool.
Ship?
I forget.
I don't know. It's like school on the sea or something like that.
Ooh, I would be bad with that. I very I'm quite like I'm not very good at water travel. I have a little bit of anxiety about that, like because I had a friend. Have you heard of the ship that sunk in South Korea a couple of years ago with a bunch of students? Oh, it was bad. Over 2,000. I think, from what I remember, it was like over 2,000 students were on the boat. It was a high school trip, and they all died.
Oh no.
Oh.
So I have a bad, and one of my friends was on it. So I have a bad.
Like, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, it was a while back, but I have a bad negative energy from both. But if I travel with you guys, I'm willing to go on a boat for because
yeah, we do all sorts of travel: boats, trains, planes, buses. Everything in between.
Chicken buses.
And I heard that Angelique, I know maybe you guys have, but I know Angelique hasn't been to Japan yet.
Yeah, we haven't.
We haven't been to Japan.
That's so cool. I recommend that I should go to Japan with you guys.
Yes.
Because I speak Japanese, and it's my dream to go to Japan. And also, I know a lot about the culture in Japan.
You can fill us in.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people in Japan that could help us out.
That's really cool.
To go to Japan.
Yeah, it's Angelique's dream is to go to Japan. Like that's her absolute dream. So
my absolute dream, I have 3 countries that are my absolute dream: Vietnam, Japan, and Kazakhstan, and Thailand.
So we've been to 2 of those countries. So
yes, Vietnam, Thailand, right?
Yes, Thailand, yeah, and Vietnam. So.
And have you been to Indonesia?
Well, we've been to Bali.
Yes.
Actually, we went to another place in Indonesia as well. It was during the Chinese New Year's. I forget what it was called, but yeah, so we have.
That's so
really
cool.
Yeah. What would be your goal for languages? Like, how many languages do you want to learn?
This is a very extreme goal that I have, but I don't know how to say this, in a non-sad way. During my lifetime, let's say it like that, I want to learn 100 languages.
100 languages.
Wow.
Oh my. That's cool. When you're speaking, you sound so native. Is there a way, how do you do that?
Well, I don't really know. You know
what I mean? For example, when most people speak, they'll sound like they sound English, or they'll speak any language. Yeah. Like, for example, when we speak Spanish, people say that we have a French accent because we already learned French. And then, yeah. So how do you do that to not have an accent?
I'm one of the main things I focus on when I'm learning a language is pronunciation. That's kind of my goal, is to sound like a native. I don't know. When I first started learning languages and someone said, "You sound so American," I was so butthurt. So that was kind of my goal, to be able to sound like a native. And people, my goal was, if I call somebody on the phone and they don't know me, they're going to think I'm Vietnamese or something. It's kind of my goal. So I took a lot of practice, each language I learned, to get the pronunciation right. Mm-hmm. For example, let's say you're learning Vietnamese and I'm learning the word xin chào. Xin chào. I would say, a lot of people would say, Americans would say, xin chào, xin chào. But it's kind of, you just have to practice xin chào. It just takes a lot of repeating the word.
Yeah, and hearing it. I heard that when you sing or you rap, it's a different part of the brain, and that's how you can learn to pronounce the words correctly and natively, apparently. So if you learn it by singing, apparently you can get the sound to be different.
That makes sense a little bit, actually, because I always sing foreign language songs, and usually those are the ones that have a better, I'm not going to sing it, by the way, but I just do it for fun. But when I'm But when I sing in other languages, or do Vietnamese karaoke, those are the languages that I tend to have a better accent in. I noticed now. Right now, I just noticed that.
That's cool. Do you have a favorite language?
Oh, it's so a tough question. Let's see. I have a few. So my favorite language changes every couple of weeks. Okay. But right now, it is Kazakh language, and from Kazakhstan.
Wow.
And you guys haven't been to Kazakhstan, right?
Not yet.
No.
Wow, it's beautiful. I haven't been, but I've seen lots of pictures. One of my friends, Raushan and Arai, live there, and they said we could stay with them if we go.
Do they have enough beds?
Yes. in Kazakhstan, most people sleep on the floor.
Yep. Boom, boom, boom,
So
boom.
yeah, so they have a big family. So they said there's feasts that we'll have.
It's hilarious how many countries that people will just welcome you in.
Yeah, that's the thing I like about other countries rather than the US or Western world. There's like a lot of like even just restaurant or foreigners in the US. Like I one time met a Kazakh family, for example, and they were like, I literally just saw them in the street, and I was like, oh, you speak Kazakh? And they're like, yeah. So we started speaking in Kazakh, and they're like, do you want to come over for dinner? And I'm like, what? I just met you. And they're like, and I asked my dad, and he's like, I guess.
Your poor parents are probably like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but they had kids, so that kind of made it better, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's just amazing. Like in a lot of the, Western world, if you invite somebody over, maybe you've met them first or whatever, but in certain cultures, people are like, yeah, come in, and they'll make you a whole meal and like just welcome you as a
that's how it
complete
is
stranger.
I love that about countries.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, how does Kazakhstan sound? Kazakh language.
Okay. It sounds like, are you asking me to speak it, or are you asking me like how it sounds?
Well,
Okay.
both kind of.
Yeah, so it sounds like Russian, Turkish, and Arabic mixed.
Okay.
Oh.
It's a Turkic language, so it is kind of comes from Turkish, I think. But it's written like Russian, just with a few different letters. But the Kazakh government is actually trying to change the alphabet to Latin alphabet.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
It's too difficult. I wouldn't care that much, but I can't still read the Latin script of Kazakh. It's quite difficult. But oh yeah, how it sounds. Salim Sisba Kalin Kalai, meaning Maibula Kudai Berganova. Yeah, so like that.
Wow.
Cool.
That's amazing.
What was one of the harder languages you thought to learn?
Ooh, so one of the hardest ones. So languages come across quite easy for me when it's similar to a language I've learned before.
Yeah.
But one of the languages that I found really hard was Thai and Burmese.
Okay.
Like from Myanmar. Excuse me. Sorry, from Myanmar. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
really alphabet is so different, right?
It's insane.
Yeah.
I can read Burmese pretty well right now, but before it took me like all the letters look like the same. They're all circles. But I like the alphabet. It's quite pretty.
That's amazing. So in the future, I mean, you're still so young, but do you think like, I don't know, because the world is going to open up to you. Like you might be a master translator at the UN, or you might get like snatched up by like some, I don't know, federal like investigation thing, or you might be like, the one negotiating things, or like, what do you see yourself doing in the future? Is this kind of like your profession, or is this just like a pure passion that you have, or what do you think?
That's something I've tried to think about for a long time of what I'm going to do in life. I've tried to look up jobs for people who speak a lot of languages, but not really any that like have to do with travel and languages. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe I'll just work as a nail tech on the side, and because I want to be a nail tech.
Cool.
A nail tech on the side, and then a YouTube photographer, YouTube video person.
You'll be good because you can go to any country you want, speak the language, and then like, who knows, right? Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. For us, like we have a goal sometimes of speaking a language, but you have to really immerse yourself in like, when you're not natural and when you're not gifted, it takes a long time. So people must look at you and be like, wow. Like I remember you were saying one of the stories at the airport. Share that story, because that was so crazy.
Oh yeah. So when I was in the airport one time, I was about maybe 10 or 11 years old. And my dad says, stay right here. I'm going to go get a drink of water. And I said, okay. So he's getting the water. He looks back and he sees maybe like 25 people crowded around me. He freaks out, thinks I just died or something. He goes running back and he's like, what happened? Is she okay? And he sees me just like yelling, and he's like, what happened? And he's like, oh, she's speaking our languages. And I'm like, yeah, Dad. And he's like, oh, okay.
And did he know, like, was he in complete shock? Like, oh my gosh, my daughter can speak all these languages?
Yeah, he was, because he didn't. Yeah, come tell the story, Dad.
Tell us the story, Dad.
I'm not a good storyteller. He is. Let me just.
You are a good storyteller.
Let me tell you what really happened.
Yes.
Typically, Cameron is, maybe she'll wander off and start just talking with strangers. So what happened is the people that were sitting across from us, they both were kind of Asian, and one actually spoke like Japanese and one was Korean, and they were shocked that she could go back and forth. And they started talking, and then literally she started to have a conversation with like 15, 20 people. And I thought she did something wrong. Not that, she got hurt. I figured like she spilled somebody's drink or called somebody a bad word, or, I'm thinking that's what I really ran back for. Like, what did she do? And then they were all just sitting around there like, oh my God, it was like a round robin. Everybody wanted to speak their language and see if she could, it's like a game of Twister. You spin the little thing and red hand green. Everyone just wanted to take a turn to try their language and see if this little, 4 foot 10 inch Caucasian girl could speak their language. It was funny.
That's hilarious. Were you completely shocked by the whole thing? Like, or did you already know that she can speak all these languages?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it always just sounded like she was just saying gibberish. And what really started to get me was when she would talk to people, everybody would ask like, oh, is your wife Asian? Or when did you guys live in Vietnam? And I'm like, never. And because
She's never even been.
It's just amazing. Like, seriously.
Her language was so, sounded so much like a native that people just assume like my wife was Asian, or we lived there for some period of time, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Because how can you do that,
Yeah. So yeah, it was just shocking to me because it just like when she was learning German, like a week later after I told her about the app that my company had, which is how it all got started, she asked me, she goes, how do people in your company learn other languages? I'm like, oh, they use this app called Duolingo. And I never thought I would hear, anything about that again. And she was 9. And then like a week later, she's walking through the house like honking, slocking, clucking, clocking. And I'm like, what is she saying? Sounds like German. And sure enough, she was learning German. And then we got into the car one time with a Uber driver. We were going to a concert a couple weeks later. I'm sorry, this story is getting long, huh?
Yeah, it's okay.
No, keep going. It's really cool.
So long story short, I'd only heard her speak German a handful of times, and she's speaking German, and the driver was from Germany, and he started laughing.
Because I speak Austrian German.
Yeah, so I thought that she was just making the words up. I thought she was like, pranking us the whole time. And he was like, I was like, what's so funny? He was like, no, she speaks what they call he said northern, he said high German, northern German, high German, which is like the perfect German that they teach in the universities. He goes, I speak southern German. I'm from the South. It's kind of like a slang. He goes, but she's speaking like she just came out of one of the universities. And I was like, really? I thought you were just making it up. So wow. Yeah, that was fun.
Cool. That's amazing, Cameron. So you're like, piece of cake.
Yeah.
So what are your hobbies?
So my hobbies are definitely learning languages. I'm obsessed with motorbikes and cars.
You are?
Yeah, I can name every car on the street. Yeah, I don't really like, I'm more interested in like scooters like they have in Vietnam.
Okay,
because I'm really interested in motorbikes, but the motorcycles kind of freak me out because like they like go too fast. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I really like cars too. Like, and I also like hanging out with my friends and stuff like that, going to the mall.
Cool. Well, if you were in Europe right now, the age is usually 14 to be able to start using motorized scooter. So you could be scootering around Europe at your age.
And in Vietnam, my bestest friend the whole entire planet, Han Wei, she lives in Vietnam, and she started driving motorcycle at 9, like a moped at 9. That's how they do it in Vietnam. Like in Vietnam, you can see like kids driving, as I heard, that's what she told me. You can see like kids driving motorbikes and like without helmets or stuff like that in the rural areas at least. And that's so cool.
I mean, we've seen that, traveling, we've seen like whole families on one motorbike. Like,
that's my favorite part. Like, so I have a scooter here. It's like made for kids. It only goes like maybe like 25 kilometers per hour. But like it like I tried to be like, I'll pretend I was in Vietnam. So I put me and my brother and my friend and my brother and my so 4 people on it.
Wow. That's amazing.
It's like this little tiny scooter that like it's motorized, but I was driving and we weren't going that fast. And it was fun because I was wearing a Vietnamese traditional ao dai and that non la. So it was fun.
I noticed that like sometimes you like to like dress the part. Like, do you enjoy not just learning the language, but like literally taking on the role with like outfit and everything like that?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I love experiencing the cultures. I love trying the food. I love lots of things about the country, not just the languages. Yeah.
Let's see. So you learn you have 25 languages under your belt right now?
I counted yesterday, and apparently it's 27 now.
27.
Whoa. And you tend to go more towards certain like different countries that are not like your typical languages. Like someone in the United States, they would learn like obviously the English and Spanish and maybe French, but you're really going after certain languages that people don't typically learn.
Yeah, when I learn a language, when I decide to learn a language, it's usually because I met someone from there. That's like usually me.
Cool.
So I met a friend from Burma or Myanmar, so I wanted to learn Burmese and Rohingya.
Wow.
So what's the next language you want to learn?
You know, that is always unpredictable for me. Whenever someone asks me that, you know, I never really know. Like, it's kind of just what comes to me, or not what comes to me, like what is put in front of my path. You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
Are you going to
Thank
learn
you.
Swahili one day?
Yes, I do want to learn Swahili. I'm trying to learn Zulu right now and Swahili.
Yeah.
I started Zulu recently, but I just know Jambo in Swahili.
Yeah,
But,
Jumbo.
I'm like,
Namatata.
Yeah. But that's really cool. Thank you so much. If you wanted to say anything to like the people that are going to be watching our video,
Yeah.
some words of wisdom or pieces of advice for them if they want to learn a new language, what would you tell them?
I would say just anybody can do it, no matter if you're old, young, girl, boy, American, some other country. You can do it. It's not built for certain people. It's like anybody can do it if they try.
Cameron, it was so nice to meet you. Thanks so much for joining us
It
today.
was so nice to meet you too. I had lots of fun.
And we're looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.